Ladies and gentlemen, here's another video on online mock interview of JavaScript and algorithm with one of my subscribers. And this one is a little bit special. This one I'm introducing video which faces for the first time. So I wanted to keep it a little bit raw. Usually I trim down the video so that you would only see what's been typed. But in this case, I'm keeping it a little slower and longer so that you can see the thinking process of the candidate. And I would suggest to go through the entire video to understand the thinking process. If you don't have enough time, I would suggest bookmark the video so you can watch it later. And if you want to be interviewed, similar to this video, feel free to contact me. The email address is in the description, and we'll set up a time and get the interview done. And welcome to Texi Tutorials. So the first question is, it's a JavaScript question. Let's say if you're given an object. I'm just going to give an object, okay, equal to some object. Okay, it can have a property called x equal to 1. All right. Now, I want you to change this object such that I cannot do this.
Okay. So there are a few things that come into my mind. One of them is I believe I can do an object.freeze, which would allow me to make this object not be mutable. The other thing is there are certain properties I can define within the object prototype, I believe. And one of them is I don't know what the API is exactly. It's called probably like define something. Mm-hmm. And then you have multiple things that you can enter into it, like enumerable or writable and stuff like that. And if I make it writable is equal to false, that's another way. I could use, those are two ways I can think of. But since I don't remember the exact API for the second part, I could probably try object.freeze.
Okay,
is that something like?
Yeah. So we can expand on this one. So
I have an object with property x1.
Yeah.
And the goal was that this should not be allowed.
Yes.
And one of the things I touched on was object.freeze. And the other thing I touched on was that API, which looks kind of like and then I enter an object, I believe, in that API. And the second one is like a set of options. And this option is probably going to be like, I don't know if it's writable or probably writable. Something like this, it was another thing I was thinking of.
Okay.
Let me think about, now this would be, okay, yeah, let's start with that and let's expand based on what you said.
Okay.
So what is the problem statement now? Can I still execute these, or
let's
just because I want to know what the API is?
Okay.
The first one I'll try again as well.
It is a correct API, yeah, by the way.
All right, cool. Let's see if this works. Maybe it exists on the OBJ, sorry.
But it's object. It's capital object.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is,
The configuration is incorrect. It takes another parameter. If you highlight the defined property, it would tell you.
Configurable. It's showing me params. Object on which okay, this is correct. The property name. Oh, I see. The name of the property. So if I don't have, oh, I see. So it's set for a particular property, which means that there's something over here that is required as well. But this would be cheating, I guess. Oh no, Actually, it did end up doing that.
Okay.
So this is one way. Can I try the other way as well?
Sure.
Because this is much easier. I think object.freeze also just takes in the object, which means this, and even if I ran that, then yeah. Okay, this should also be one of the answers.
Okay. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's say if you want to be able to update and delete, but not add any new property.
Okay.
So you can change X as value. You should be able to delete X itself, but you cannot add a new property.
Okay. Since define property requires me to be, so I cannot add new properties. One of the things I can do is make this object itself a private variable, and then add like a set and get. But that wouldn't, like, this particular line or this particular thing on line 18 is, I believe, the objective, right? So the objective is not to.
But
so
line is objective, but in this case, it should not allow any new property. So if you do 14, that only prevents you from a new property called Y.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. And so I was just exploring options with the private variable stuff, because then I would have access. I wouldn't let the object itself be known for the user to change, but that would be sort of like abstracting away the question itself, which is trying to focus on line 18. And in order to do that, I could try out maybe restricting. The things that come into my head are a combination of, I don't want to freeze it, because freezing it would mean that I can't even change X, I believe. And if I know the thing, then it's okay to use define property if I know which property I'm going to change. Maybe there is a size which is always going to be 1. So object.size always has to be 1. Or maybe
but that would prevent you from deleting.
Right? That's true. Yeah, X cannot be deleted then.
Yeah.
So the only thing that can change in the object is X, and there can be nothing else but that. So maybe I can change the object's prototype itself to not like include any other properties apart from X, and make X itself. X can still be deletable because it still inherits from other functions that the prototype provides. So this is just me spitballing ideas.
Okay.
Might be completely wrong here. So what if I made a horrible thing to do, whoever, like changing the actual prototype itself, because I don't even know if I can do this, but what if I just, let me think.
Can you change the prototype of object literal, by the way?
I don't think so. I can add to that, but let me think about that. Maybe I can. I am not sure, because I've never tried it. It's a horrible thing to do, so I never ended up trying it.
In JavaScript, there is no horrible things to do.
Well, I mean, you lose all the functionality that object inbuilt provides you. So from the prototype, and it'd be a very risky thing. Let's say it's a risky thing.
Okay, all right, let's try.
But I'm trying to think about how, can I console log what an object prototype actually has? Or
Sure.
Is that...
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm using this because I know that it's gonna go up the prototype chain and just give me the correct stuff.
Yeah, it may not give you the
Actually, let me just get the object proto thing, and I might have to do it like
you have to
in the
console.
other consoles. Yeah. Oh, let me try this. Let me try this if it actually works. Yeah, this won't work. And also my console isn't showing me anything, which means
object.dir I think would work.
Yeah. So there's a defined setter and a defined getter, and a set and a get. Now, should I be looking? Sorry. So, just out of curiosity, is this something I should be looking at?
Yeah, it can be one of that.
All right. Because otherwise I'm thinking too far and deep and going to the low level stuff, which if it's not that,
you can look through there. Yeah.
Okay. So one of them could be changing. Well, defined property is already something I saw.
So the clue is one of them. I'm just gonna give it to you.
Well, I mean, it is going to be interesting to think which one. So clearly, I can use something like set prototype off to change the. What can I change over here? And this is all within the constructor. Just the inbuilt object. This is an interesting question. So trying to think about what the goal is again. I can only change one property, which is X. And that is the only property that I can set as well. And any other property I'm not supposed to do. So the object should just ignore.
If the object, so let me rephrase it. If the object has a property that is already defined inside. So right now it's X. Oh, that's the only property defined. So you can change the existing property. You can delete any of the existing property, but you cannot add a new property to the object.
Okay. Is it so am I supposed to mess around with defined properties? Because configurable could be one of them. And then there can be other values within that I am not aware of. Like the exact API.
Okay.
That the thing uses.
Okay, I'll tell you, it's
I just want to. Okay.
It's not defined
so
no, you could use defined property to do it, but you could use defined property
because to do it. Yeah. From what I can recall, there is a configurable.
But defined property, then you have there is a way to do it, but usually defined property takes a property name, so you are doing individual property.
This is pretty interesting. So I mean, I've gone through a long list of things, and I'm trying to just eliminate by. I'm just trying to use process of elimination because I don't know the exact.
So as I said, it's part of the constructor, right? So it's one of the property of the constructor. and it's kind of obvious if you go through it. That's a clue.
Okay, let me just go through all of them then. Assign essentially lets you create another object with the same one. Create lets you create an object. I see. Yeah, I'm at this point, I should probably say that I'm stuck.
Okay. All right. I'll give it is one of them, and it's prevent extension.
Oh, the one thing I missed
You
saying.
didn't even look at it.
Yeah, like it's a longer word, so I was like, just ignored it. But
Yeah.
I'd like to believe that I was looking at the correct location.
So oftentimes, we skip over something very obvious, but yeah. Okay.
Creates a new object instead.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next question.
All right.
Let's say if you're given a number, let's say 1, 2, 5, 1. 1, 2, 5,
All right.
2, 1.
5, 2, 1. Sorry.
Yeah. You want to find out if the number is a palindrome or not. Do you know what a palindrome is?
Yes, a palindrome is a sequence of characters which, when reversed, are similar or the same.
Same, exactly. Yeah. So the only thing here is we should avoid any. You should not do string operations. Like you cannot convert. Keep it as a number.
Okay.
And otherwise, it becomes very easy.
Yeah.
So
okay, fair enough. I was like, that was an easy one, but
yeah.
apparently not.
So treat it as a number and then find out if it's a palindrome or not.
Okay, so you did say I can not convert it to a string, but you never mentioned if I cannot convert it to an array. Can I convert it to an array?
No.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah.
All right.
So keep it as a number, yeah.
All right. So keeping it as a number. Because numbers, I don't think I can do any like caret or anything like that. So I cannot actually look at the exact things at a particular level. That was like obviously the reason I wanted to convert it into array would have been the same, just to look at a particular thing on its own as an index, right? So now try and think of this in a way where just the number is given to me, and then this is a palindrome, for example, over here. 12521 is a palindrome, but that's just because I can look at it. And when I look at it, I look at it from when I looked at it, when I try to see if it's a palindrome, I look at it from a digit-based perspective, which means from a character-based perspective. I need to look at it in a different way, clearly, when it's a number. What are some of the things I can do? I don't know, I can mod this using some value, probably, even if I modded it using 10. If I keep modding this using 10 and storing the numbers in a stack, that's again using an array in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, I'm just modding it to just get the digits out of it.
I would say, okay, so the one
divide it. So
ability you can do is, yeah, maybe you can, if you do a mathematical operation, and then if you find something, you can store it in an array. That is fine.
I'm sorry, your voice is cutting out.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I said was, if you do a mathematical operation on the number, right?
Yep.
Then you can maybe save that information somewhere to see if, but in an array or something. But you don't want to convert this into an array or string, stuff like that. Yeah.
It's fair enough. I mean, that's a big enough hint for me. So one of the things I could do is just divide it, get the remainder, and get each digit like that. And so if I have 12521 and I divide it by 10, I get a remainder. I think this is how you get that last digit. I'm not entirely sure. I believe I would get 1 from this because 520 is divisible by 1. So my quotient would be like, if I can type quotient out, 12520, and then I think the quotient would be 0, 0. Let me think about this.
0.
Sorry, and the remainder would be 1. And then if I did this again, and if I can push this into an array based on what you said, I could then if I have something like the IDE just went crazy. So the R would equal to something like 1 now. And if I did this again, but with the quotient, well, the key over here is that there's the 0 over here. I don't know if there's a 0 over here. I think it's just this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I can just do it again with this. So I get 2. And what I can do is unshift it instead of pushing it, because then I would get it in the order in which I need it. And then I can do it again for 5, and again for 2, and then 1, because I'm unshifting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's still allowed, I can just do a r dot reverse, and then just check if the reverse is equal to the normal array. And I can do that using just a regular for loop or something. Or if I wanted to get creative, I can use it in every or something, and every or multiple things.
Okay.
Is this a viable enough approach, and is this allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed.
Okay.
There is a better algorithm, but I think if you do this, then you probably get it.
Yep. When you say there's a better algorithm, does that algorithm involve a trick, or is this similar to what I'm doing?
Well, it's close to what you're doing, but I think you are doing a couple of extra steps here.
Well, I was unshifting because I couldn't ever. Oh, I mean, sure.
The question is, do you even need an array?
No, because I just need to check if this value is at the end. But how would I check if that is at the end? Well, sorry, I know that 1 is at the end, but how do I know if 1 is at the beginning? Like, I can't go through it character by character. How else could I check if 1 is at the beginning? I could divide this number. Well, what if I just added and subtracted the number with itself? And that should give me a 0. I don't know. Because so essentially, if I have a 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, and I try to just divide it and get whatever I got back, and that should be equal to 1, 2, 5. Yeah, I mean, all it should be equal to is so I know that this number gets converted into 1, 2, 5, 2, and then there's a remainder of 1 for that particular digit. So all I need to check is if I can do this, that check if this divided by this is equal to, it gives me a remainder of 0. But that's not true for like thousands and 10,000s and stuff like that. Because even though 1,000 is a divisible value, it's not an actual palindrome. 1,001 would be, not 1,000. In which case I wouldn't get that value. I would get, Okay, let me think about this again. I know that this is a viable approach. Like this, the one I have on this, I mean, I can imagine this to give me the right answer, but I do think I would have to divide it by 10 because otherwise I just cannot get the digit values or mod it by 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And if I mod something and I get that, and I subtract that value, no, it wouldn't change the first value. I'm more concerned about the one at the beginning. Can I mod something over there? Like, is there an operation I can perform to get the first value over here? Is that something I should be thinking of?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I think there are multiple ways to do this, right?
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I can't get the length of the number. I don't know what the length of the number is. So I wouldn't know what power of 10 to check. What power of 10 would be like modding it by 1,000. If I modded this with 10,000, for example, I would get this value back, I think. Yeah. Right? 1, 2. Yeah. And if I got this value back,
quotient.
can I? My quotient is 10,000 and my remainder would be 2,521 if I modded it with 10,000, divided by 10,000. Right? And that would give me the first value, but I would need to know the power of 10 for that. I use 10 in the end and the power of 10 in the beginning. I don't know the power of 10 when I'm just looking at this. Maybe there's a math operator for that. Maybe I can use log to the base 10 to get the power. See, this is where all my engineering skills are coming back to me. But
that's an interesting solution using log.
Well, I'm just spitballing ideas. I have no idea. But it's, I mean, from a thought process point of view, that could work.
Yeah.
Because I could get the power of 10 to a certain extent. I can just ignore the decimal values if there are any. Maybe I shouldn't have studied this much. Honestly, I did not study undergrad that much, so my maths is probably weak. Dude, I don't want to go log. So other ways I can think of getting the first digit. Well, getting the first digit involves getting the power of the entire thing.
Right.
Is that something I should be thinking about?
Yeah, you can. I think that's the best way to get it. I'm sure there are other ways to do it, but yeah, that's very obvious.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't know how to get the power of a number. Like maybe there's a math.power or something. But
well, you just said that you can use log, right?
Okay, you do want to use log. Okay.
Log,
sure.
obviously, there's a log in JavaScript.
Yeah, there is definitely. There's probably a power as well, from what I can think of. It's probably a library function or something. So give me something like 9.43. What does that mean? Is this base 2 or is this base 10?
Well, you can test it out by giving a simple number.
Let's see. Yeah, it's base 2 then, because oh no, that's yeah. I mean, is it? Isn't base 2? Shouldn't the answer be 3 if it was base 2? I don't even know. Let's go 4. I'm really bad at this. Well, this is not 2 then. This is probably 10. Maybe I give it like 100, which is. Oh my God. Internet stopped working, I guess. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Math.log 100 gave me 4. I have no idea what this means.
You can Google it for this one. It's simple.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there is a math.log 10. So it was telling me there's to the base e E is what, 2.7?
2.17, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in the comment section is shitting on me for not knowing logs. It was 7, 8 years ago, so no, it was 5 years ago. I can divide it 2 into 2 into 2. All right. So in order to get the second value, all I need to do is divide it by the log of the first one. Yeah. Okay. So should be 2. Yep. Okay. So I can do this. I can get the n, and then so if number was, so I would just take the integer value, and then I would know that it's till math.power4, which means 10,000.
Yeah.
And then I would get the first value, and then the last value, and then compare. And then I can just keep decreasing the value of 10, and then increasing the value of 10 from this side, and then just doing the same again all the time. And if they're all equal, then you have, well, I could do it. Yeah, that's one way to do it.
All right.
So what if yeah. So which way should I use? Because both of them are pretty. I'm sorry?
Well, this looks optimal. I don't know
see.
the complexity of what log is, but
It has to be log of n, right? Sorry. Everybody's gonna shit on me again. I mean, it's probably
one time only, right? That's it. Yeah.
You're logging it multiple times though, right?
But once you know the length of it.
Yeah, once I know the length of it. I feel like I made the problem more difficult. This would have been perfectly easy, but I'm gonna try this out now.
All right.
So if I have something like a let f is equal to, I get a number, and I return either true or false. So let's just say, well, let's think about that later. Let's first look at what the now that I have the length, what can I do next? So one of the first things I know is, and I'll use a mat.floor. I don't know how to multiply, for instance. Can I use mat.power? Yeah.
Yeah, you can use power.
Yeah. Power. So it's base and then exponent, which is the length. I just call it star for some reason. I don't know why. And then what I can do is just check if, so the only thing I'm trying to check over here is like, yeah, I again get a decimal value, right? And that's that was what I was trying to check. So can I use mat.floor again, just to get the quotient out?
Yeah.
So, and once I get the quotient out, really needed more coffee for this. So once I got the quotient out, I need to relate the quotient to the last value. So I know the way I'm incrementing this now is I'm incrementing the powers. So let me just go here. base is 10 and the value is 1 in the beginning to get the last value. So and I need to loop this, obviously, and the value to which I can loop it is if start is equal to end, and I can just keep updating these then, right? Yeah, that should be, well, why am I updating the powers? I shouldn't be updating the powers. I should be updating the exponents. Sorry, yeah. I should be updating the powers, which are the exponents. Instead of over here, I'm actually calculating the 10,000. So it's going to run from 1 to 10,000, which is dumb. It should keep incrementing which I can change, obviously. So let me just think about what the second thing would be over here. I'm just trying to see if this actually does anything. Nope, I don't need this part over here. This part over here is actually going to be the remainder after 10, which means this is going to be I should probably have thought about this. To get the remainder, it's the best way to get the remainder. Just have 5 minutes left. So the best way to get the remainder would just be to divide this by 10 and see what's left. Well, one way could be just to mod it using the quotient into, oh man, how do I get the remainder? Divide it, and then let me think about this. What does it give me back when I divide something? I got, if I divide this by this, I get 125. And how do I get the remainder from that? I get a decimal value, and that decimal value into the quotient is equal to the remainder. I don't get any decimal value. Wow, I forgot how to do division apparently. Am I thinking about the right stuff, or am I just?
You can get the remainder, right?
The mod.
Mod.
Well, if I just do a mod of 1252 by 10, oh, I'm still doing it with the same power with start.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. Probably don't need the thing over there. So now I need to keep doing this. And as soon as I see that they're not equal, I return false. So now what is my while loop? I don't want to go from start to end. I just want to see if start is equal to end, and I can check then if until then that was happening. I can update start and end later, but so if and then I'll clean it up later just to start with this. I'm incrementing the counters and like having length and start be there. Actually, you know what? It'll be better if I do a length less than equal to for, sorry. And then I can just do this part over here. I don't even need to do all the other stuff. I can clean it up later, but yep, definitely needed more coffee. Can't even select stuff. And then over here, all I would need to do is let me just think if it will be less than or less than equal to. For the middle element, if it is like a odd number of characters, it can be a singular value. So I shouldn't be, and if it's, sorry, yeah, for odd number of characters. And if it's an even number of characters, then I end at less than instead of ending at equal to, which is both are okay. So let me just see if this runs. Let me just think about this part. So I have the length. First index is equal to 1. First index less than length. Oh, that's not good. It's true, they're not equal. So even though I'm checking these parts, should have just gone with the array approach. It was so much easier. Because then I have to sort of check this recursively now because.
Yeah. Or you have to reduce the length of the array, right? I mean, length of the number every time once you check it.
But that would be cheating, right? We can't.
No, that won't be cheating.
Can we change the? We can.
Mathematical operation to reduce it, right?
Oh, I see. So you're saying, okay, so that's fine. I thought the
so
array
was
2. So then,
right?
Yeah. And let me just think about that, how that would work. N is equal to, I would have to reduce it from both sides, right?
Yes.
So the first way is I could do a n mod with the length, which would give me the first side, and then divide it. Numbers are literals, right? I can't change those probably, so I might have to create a new. Well, can I change those?
Yeah, you can change it.
Strings I cannot change.
Yeah, you can change the numbers.
Well, maybe.
You have defined as
I
a
know
length.
Well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm close somewhere over here, probably. Yeah. So nmod start would give me 2, 5, 2, 1. And then dividing that by 10 would give me 2, 5, 2, I think. Why is it 52? You know what? Maybe I didn't need to do all of this minus index stuff if I was just changing this part, right? So let me just go through that again. I'm way. So clearly, some of this end and start stuff I probably don't need. And all I need to do it till is, because I was looking at it as an array. So this logic is correct. It is becoming 252 after the first one. So now I'm still checking length though. I shouldn't be checking length. Well, my length has changed.
No,
from before.
The length has changed.
Yep.
So that's, yeah.
Sucks that this isn't part of the video where I'm actually using my brain. So the length changed, and now this hasn't changed. So my while condition was checking till.
Yeah.
So well, n is greater than 10. Is that true? Just 0. It's still going to be 5, but it is giving me true, which is fine. So yeah. After a lot of effort, I guess I'll perform better when I'm not being recorded. I think.
Right, let's try
clearly.
Not true. And then maybe we can try a larger number.
That is actually, yeah. Yeah, we don't know yet. So 1,000, let's see, 1,000. Give me true, false, cool. Let's try 1,001. True, awesome. Do you want to record this? Is this being recorded?
It is recorded, yes.
Okay. And then let's try a very large number.
Okay.
This is probably gonna fail because of the math dot. The good thing is it failed immediately because I have no idea why it failed. Honestly, is this greater than the maximum value?
False, right? Yeah, it's supposed to be false.
Perfect then. No, I was just thinking it would disregard this and then treat it as like e raised to the power 7 or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
okay.
That's probably one way you can do it. Very contrived approach for sure.
Yeah. No, I think this is good. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
There may be though there are some edge cases, but that's fine.
Well, there's negative numbers for
not
example.
negative, like a single digit.
Yeah, that's true. Single digit. Well, if that is a single digit is always a palindrome, so I could probably check that over here and check the length over here itself, and if length is equal to 1.
Yeah.
Then try like 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be okay then.
Yeah, let's try to do 1, 1 or something.
Yeah. The code isn't as pretty as I should. I can probably change that later though.
All right.
Which is a palindrome, so yeah.
Yeah, it is a palindrome. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of proud I remember log.
This is a much cleaner approach, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.